This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
I'm on my way now. I'm on my way now. I'm on my way now.
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. If you happen to be new around here, my name is Trevor and this is Anna. We are the Delightful Travelers. Make sure to hit subscribe and click the like button to follow along on our Korean adventures.
Yes, so we are still in Seoul, Korea, doing lots more discovering in this video. Honestly, there are so many things to do in this city that we had a hard time narrowing it down, especially because we only have a few days here, so we can't do everything. But we decided to come over to one of the main tourist attractions. It's a palace called Gyeongbokgung. Probably totally mispronouncing that, as always, and big apologies, but it's bound to happen. Korean is a hard language.
The first thing we notice when we come in here are these beautiful structures, but there is one more thing we notice as well. There's a lot of people in costumes around here.
Yeah, so believe it or not, one of the big things to do here is to go to a costume rental place. There are tons of them, and they will fully outfit you in these traditional costumes, which is so cool. They have stuff for men and for women, and you get in for free if you do it. Are you regretting? No, you didn't do it?
We didn't rent one today because we have kind of a busy day planned, but it's so neat to see. Like in our part of the world, there are people like dressed in costumes at some of our old like forts, historic places, but you can't rent.
Yeah,
them.
there are people that are hired to be like actors basically, but you can never dress up yourselves. But this is so cool. It's I've never seen anything like this before.
I can't help but notice the beating drum in the background. It's some anticipation for something.
Yeah, it did just start like a couple of seconds ago. I think it's because at 2 o'clock, and it's maybe like 1:45 right now, is the changing of the guard. It happens twice a day, so we purposely came here to be here for the 2 o'clock.
So we did just find out that the changing of the guard happens here in the free area. We actually thought we'd have to go back there. If you can see that big structure, it's like the paid portion, but you don't. We asked someone, this is where it happens. But the reason we had to ask something is there are announcements that are often happening in the background, but they're all in Korean. So there's not much English here so far, and that's not a knock on Korea at all. We are in Korea, we expect that, but just know that if you're coming here, you guys ask us quite often when we travel, like one of the biggest questions is there English? Is there English? Whether we're in Korea, the Philippines, Thailand. I would say, we were both talking about this, we say there's like medium English here, and by that I mean sometimes you'll get some English, sometimes you won't. Don't go into places expecting to hear English back. Generally, you'll find younger people speak English more often than say some of the older people. So just know that you're going to get by either way. You're going to have a great time here, but I wouldn't say that there's English spoken everywhere.
So I think we did just mention this area is the free area, and that's where the changing of the guard happens. If you want to purchase a ticket and go inside, it's 3,000 won per adult, which is about $3 Canadian or about $2.50 US. I say that's really well priced. Also, you can buy like tourist passes and things, and that'll include your admission, or you could dress up and get in for free.
Yeah, and we said, well, the paid portion, so we will take them in there right after the changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, this is quite the event. The costumes are so colorful. You can see all these flags and banners, and the music is out of this world. The whole thing takes about 15 minutes in total. Now here's the thing, just know that there's narration that happens over top of the entire kind of ceremony, and it's a little bit distracting because you can't hear the music. It's actually louder than the music. So just keep that in mind if you're coming here. But however, we did notice this time that there was English narration. Of course, there was Korean. We think there was even Mandarin and maybe another language. So that was definitely a plus. But we did find that it was just too loud. The volume level of the microphone was way louder than the ceremony itself. Doesn't matter, come here either way because it's beautiful to see. Well, one thing we didn't talk about is 'tis the season, huh?
It is a little bit later when you're watching this, but as we're here, it's cherry blossom season. How beautiful are they?
I know, yeah. So these trees are out of this world. We'll probably see more of them maybe later in the video.
That's the plan. We'll see if it works out. But yeah, at least we're seeing some now.
Yeah, and we're also now in the paid portion, right?
Yes. No, I would already say it's worth coming in, not just doing the changing of the guard ceremony, but coming into the paid area because it's really, really beautiful in here.
One thing we will say is if we could do this all over again, we would actually come here where we're at in the paid portion first before the ceremony, because now everybody's in here. Like the whole place is in here.
Yeah, so we probably would have arrived at like 1 o'clock or something like that, like an hour before, explored inside the palace first, and then gone out for the changing of the guard ceremony
Yeah.
last. Also, I do need to point out again, even as we get in here, there's so many people in costume. I kind of thought like if we did it, would we feel really awkward and weird about it because maybe there'd only be a couple other people, but almost everybody in here is dressed up. And really, how often in your lifetime are you getting an opportunity to dress up in outfits like that? So yeah, I regret not doing it.
Next time when we come back to this area, maybe a few years from now, we'll do it.
So this beautiful palace actually dates back to 1395. It's from the Joseon Dynasty era, and there are five remaining palaces in the city, and this is considered the largest, but also the most beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful, we have to point out the contrast between the old ancient world here in Seoul and the modern part of the city. It is absolutely incredible. It's so beautiful. We don't come across cities like this that often that are set up this way with these old gorgeous buildings and a super modern city. I think you guys would be surprised. If you come to Korea, you're gonna be a little bit shocked, especially right here in Seoul. You know, this might be our last video in this series, but we're gonna have to come back to Korea again and see way more of this amazing country.
Speaking of old and beautiful things, there's another area of the city that we have to visit, so let's head there now.
Before we get any further in this week's video, we just wanted to say we're so happy to have Squarespace back on board as a sponsor once again.
We of course built our own website, delightfultravelers.com, on Squarespace. They make it so simple and so easy to build your very own website. They have loads of customizable templates as well as pre-built layouts. You do not have to be super tech savvy or know any code to build your site. For us, they give us loads of options for featuring our travels, from easily embedding our YouTube videos, travel photos, and creating blog posts.
One thing you may not know about Squarespace is they also provide e-commerce. We have set up so many shops, so many stores for all of our clients, and it couldn't be easier. You can sell everything from physical to digital products and services, as well as subscriptions. Are you ready to build your own website? Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/delightfultravelers for 10% off your first website or your domain.
And of course, a huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and supporting creators like us.
All right, back to the vlog.
We are now in Bukchon Hanok Village. It was only about a 20-minute walk from the palace. This is actually a neighborhood and people live in here. There are lots of signs around to be quiet, so trying to not talk too loudly because literally someone's house is right there. And believe it or not, this actually dates back to the same period as the palace. So these homes are hundreds of years old. It's hard to imagine. But the name Bukchon actually translates to Northern Village.
It's so interesting walking through these alleys. Obviously these buildings are beautiful on the outside, but it does have us wondering, like, what are the insides like?
I would love to know if anyone has ever seen like a YouTube video that features a tour or like an architectural magazine or something like that.
Yeah.
Send us leave a comment below or send us a link, 'cause I would love to know.
This seems like, it almost seems like we're on a movie set or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's crazy. So while there are lots of cute little alleyways here, we're actually on a main drag right now, and there seems to be some cars here and there going by, but in general, mostly pedestrians. But let's go back to this quiet thing, because there are signs literally all over the place asking you to please be quiet, because people literally live here. That must get kind of annoying, but still really cool. But speaking of that, something we noticed when we arrived in Seoul right away, we've never ever said this about another city, is just how quiet it is in general. Even when you're in the busy places, it's like all the cars almost seem like they are electric. Like even the vehicle noises aren't loud.
And people in general aren't loud. Like there's people around me now, but everybody is being quiet. They're all talking about at the level that I am. So for a city of 10 million people, we just noticed that when we're out, the cars are quiet, the people are quiet. I get the feeling that it's a culture based on respect, of course, and it's very, very pleasant to be here as a Canadian.
Turns out we are hungry and we've just come over to a very popular traditional dumpling house. We did a lot of walking today and definitely worked up an appetite, and honestly, I cannot get enough of these Korean dumplings. They're actually called Mandu. So we went with a mixed dumpling plate. It comes with 3 different kinds. I believe this one is pork here, kimchi, and I think that might have pork in it as well, and then I believe this one is mushroom.
So maybe this is entirely incorrect, but when the dumpling falls apart and I can't use the chopsticks, I don't know what else to do. They provided a spoon. I'll just try it. I'll combo it up, chopsticks and a spoon. Let's see what it's like with the sauce. That sauce is delicious. There's garlic in there and definitely some hints of soy sauce, and I'm sure their own concoction. So on its own, this little guy is great, but with the sauce is where it's at.
So I'm going to try this kimchi dumpling. Again, difficult to pick up. So if you're not familiar with kimchi, it's a Korean food that's made out of fermented cabbage. Sounds weird. It's so delicious. Lots of spices usually going on as well. And I think it did say there was pork in here as well.
See if yours holds together a little better than mine. They're big dumplings, huh?
They are.
Look at the size of that.
Okay, that is absolutely delicious. I'm not sure if this one is meant to go in a sauce. She didn't point to one when it came to the table when it was delivered. And it really doesn't need it because there's so much flavor happening in there with the kimchi, a little bit of spice to it. You can taste that fermentedness. Like I said, I think pork in there, but there's not a big, strong pork flavor, I think because it's just so overpowered by the kimchi. And then there's green onion. I just love the outer shell of a steamed dumpling. It sounds gross, like almost like a wet thing to it. It's not like a fried dumpling, but oh, it's so good.
I'm gonna try this last dumpling, which is pork. Now, it's holding together better than the mushroom one, that's for sure. So I can go back to chopsticks. For all of you that got mad at me for using the spoon, I'm back on the chopstick train. Here we go. Oh, pork just might be the winner. Oh yeah, that is just full of flavor. It's so tender. I mean, the mushroom one is good, but we're carnivores on this channel, and we do love to eat some tender, juicy pork from time to time, especially when it's in the form of a dumpling. If there's anything we know about Korea, and especially Seoul, is we can't get enough of these little guys. Next up, we decided to brave the metro system in this massive city, and as you can see, it is super clean, it's super modern, and spoiler alert, it's very easy to get around. We also have some great views. Also, it's a new day, we have different clothes on, and we're at a place called Seokchon Lake, and you could probably tell by looking behind me here, it's pretty beautiful.
So as you can see, there are a lot of people here. It's a beautiful spot. There's basically a lake surrounded by cherry trees. That's actually the reason we came. By the time you watch this, I think cherry blossom season might be over, but as we're here, we're like in the prime time of cherry blossoms. This is one of the best places in the city to come and see them, although definitely one of the busiest.
So for us, this is super exciting because it marks the very first time we've been around these cherry blossoms.
Yeah, and I think most people generally, when you think of like famous cherry blossoms, you think of Japan, but Korea is definitely just as famous or has just as many cherry blossoms as they do in Japan. So if you're thinking about going for cherry blossoms, this is a great place to come.
When you get to this city, you can't help but notice just how big it is. This is a giant city, and it can be a little bit intimidating at first until you're here for a few days. Once you have feet on the ground, you realize right away that this is a tremendous city, and it's an easy city to get around. We absolutely love it, as you can tell. Now, if you don't know, we are traveling around the world kind of scoping out places to live. Yeah, we don't really have a home at the moment. We're just traveling around. We travel full time. And this is one place, Korea is one place, especially Seoul, where we think that we can live. So far, I think you guys can tell we're digging the city.
So we actually looked it up, and as a Canadian, you can come here for 6 months visa-free. I think that's amazing. There's not too many countries in the world we can do that. So that's a huge bonus for us, that we can literally just fly in and stay here for 6 months without worrying about paperwork or applying for too many things, or like having to go to immigration offices all the time to renew things. It is a bit expensive here, so that's something we would have to take into account and plan for, but every day that goes by here, I fall in love with the city a little bit more. It's actually our last day here. We had 5 full days, not even remotely close to enough. As Trevor just said, the city is huge. I'm sure you could spend years and years and years here and keep exploring and finding new things all the time.
Now, of course, we want your guys' help. We want to know that when we come back to Korea, a couple different things. One, if we came back to the city, where would you stay? Where's a great neighborhood to stay where we can kind of settle in for a couple months?
Yeah, if we were renting an apartment, like what's your favorite neighborhood that's maybe not too expensive but has all the things?
Exactly. Now, the other thing is, obviously Korea is a lot more than Seoul, and it's surrounded by water. We happen to love beaches. We happen to love cities. So, of course, we're just looking for recommendations on what other cities, what other towns, what other beaches especially that we should go to.
Again, it's so appealing that we could come back here and like spend a significant amount of time.
I know.
So nice. One thing we have not mentioned yet is this gargantuous tower that's right behind us. It's literally right beside the lake. It's actually the tallest building in all of South Korea and the 6th largest in the whole world. It's huge.
Yeah, the thing is, the camera doesn't truly capture how big
It's
that
massive.
is.
I can't even describe how big that is.
I mean, the other buildings over there are massive as well. So that's got like 80 stories on them.
Yeah, and this one's, what did I say, 123?
123.
Wow.
Well, check this out. We found another little place to sit here. This whole area just keeps getting more beautiful. Like the more we walk around, the cooler it is. Man, we were just talking amongst ourselves here about this city and this country, and oh my, has it ever impressed us.
It really has, and it's hard to put everything into words. And like I said, it took a few days to really like get into it, but 5 days in and I'm just so in love with this place and I cannot wait to come back. But one thing I find is that it's maybe the most culturally interesting place we've been to, and different culturally that we've been to in a long time. We've been to some really, really cool places, so that's saying a lot.
It's so, it's so very different than the countries over here in Asia that we've been spending time in. If you didn't know, we were down in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, Vietnam, and just it's so different than here. It's hard to put it into words why. It's an incredibly modern city with so much history packed into one place, and I imagine that's what most of the country is like.
Yeah, and I just love that. I mean, geographically, it's not that big of a country. It is obviously a pretty big population, but it's like just how they have their very own unique culture. They even have, I'd say, their own music, their own fashion.
Their own fashion. Like a lot of younger people wear kind of, in general, like oversized clothing, which we haven't seen that in a while. It's just really cool. It's really unique. You know, like big, kind of fat sneakers with thick soles. Like we see that in our country
Trench
as well,
coats.
but it's so trendy in a different way. I mean, everybody smokes as well, it seems like. And then, of course, there's lots of old people around, but there really feels like a young city.
It does feel very young.
Seoul feels extremely, extremely young, and yeah, what a place to come to. Like, I hope you guys are watching this and you put this on your list, because we already know we're going to come back. And it impressed us so much. I'm not sure coming in like what we thought.
I think I really didn't know what to expect. I watched a few videos on it, but not that many people have come here. It's not like this super popular place to come.
Yeah.
So.
It's just easy to get around to.
Yeah, I loved that. It's so easy to get around. It's it's a huge city, so you can't walk everywhere, but the area that we were in Insadong, getting to Myeongdong, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Was very easy. It's
walkable.
Like 20 minutes. It's so walkable. They stop, traffic actually stops for pedestrians. Amazing.
And the other thing, if you're wondering about safety, because I know a lot of you that watch, and I know there's going to be Koreans watching, and they don't care about safety, but if you're wondering if Korea is safe or
everyone
is
always
city
asks.
safe,
Every country we go to, people always
ask
say, "Do you
us.
feel safe?" This place, I've even noticed that if you go into like a coffee shop, people will leave their stuff and then go order. That's
like
how safe it is.
meaning, and not just their jacket, they leave their purse there sometimes,
Their
or their laptops, wallets. So obviously, this is an extremely safe country. What a place.
I know.
What a
I
place.
just loved it.
Well, that's going to do it for the video today, everyone. We have to say a huge thank you to all of you that are watching. We are going to come back to Korea, and consider this, even though it's just 3 episodes, consider this series 1.
Yeah, this was like just scouting mission, and there will be a full series someday in the future.
Yeah, that's the goal with the channel, is sometimes we're going to be living in places for longer, as we've been doing in Southeast Asia, and other times we're going to go in and out while we're traveling between those destinations just to see different places, and this place impressed.
In case you're wondering, there is a theme park or an amusement park behind us. We hear people yelling, that's what it is.
So if you don't know who we are and you got this far in the video and the series, it's Trevor, Anna, Delightful Travelers. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, click like, because that helps us out. Leave us a comment and let us know what you guys think.
And if you haven't watched the previous 2 videos, we had 2 more videos. One where we were eating all sorts of things, and the other video was just our first impressions, really discovering the city.
I know. We can't leave out our Patreons and our channel members as well that go the extra mile to support us each and every week, but we love all of you guys that watch. It means the world to
especially
us.
in cities like this, it really, really helps out because it's not so cheap here.
Yeah, so we're gonna turn the camera off, enjoy the cherry blossoms, and we'll see you in a new destination in the next video. Should we tell them where we're going?
Maybe guess first, and we'll tell you in like 5 seconds.
Pause the video, guess it's a country close by.
Yeah.
We'll wait for you to come back.
probably got it. I think you got it.
Okay.
It's Japan, guys.
We're going to Japan. Finally going to Japan, and we can't wait. Get ready in the next video.
All right, guys, that's it.
From Seoul, Korea, wishing you delightful travels.
See you soon.